I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about this COVID-19 disaster assistance. There's been some updates on this, and I know that many of you, as I tell you guys things on this webinar, I really hope that you guys move at the speed of instruction. We sit here every day. We're on the phone with different government agencies, community agencies. We're being extremely proactive and looking for ways to help, to help people in every way. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing these webinars, right? So that we prepare, that we prepare for the content, and I know that my staff, Anna, Trinidad, I want to give her some kudos for these PowerPoints that she's organizing for me. Sorry, guys, I just need a little vodka to get me started here this morning. I'm kidding, it's not vodka. I'm not a huge drinker, but it's something in my throat. But yeah, Anna Trinidad has been so amazing in putting all these PowerPoints together. And if you, a lot of people said, John, I really like your PowerPoints these days. And I don't want to take credit for it because Anna's been the one putting them all together. My staff, my wife, my kids, myself, we've been working with all the different agencies to get all this content for you, so you're not having to spend time doing it. But as we do it, we're doing our due diligence to make sure that we're providing you accurate information. It's not fake news or false news or whatever it is. We're doing whatever we can. We're doing food drives. We're working with different agencies, and of course, we're looking out wherever we can to make a difference in people's lives every day. We know that people are going through some extremely tough times, and especially some financial tough times. And of course, those are people that are suffering not just the financial tough times, but the emotional, and for those people who have lost their loved ones and their family members and friends that are grieving and mourning during these times as well, we totally understand. So we understand what you're experiencing right now, and we're here to help you in any way. So let's talk about this SBA because several of you actually, when I first started talking about this, before it even came out and before the news even started talking about it, on every major network, I was telling you about this SBA program, and a lot of you actually thought it was actually fake. I actually texted someone just the other day, and I was, just checking in on them, seeing how they're doing. And, one of the things that she actually responded back and says, well, physically I'm doing great, but financially it's a disaster right now. And I said, well, you're an independent contractor. Why don't you go get this money? And she said, I thought it was going to be automatic. And what she was referring to was the government stimulus package, which was like $1,200. $2,400 if you're married, and there's certain restrictions as to your income and all that kind of stuff. Now that is different, completely different than the SBA program, right? And so she says, yeah, she says, excuse me, isn't that SBA the loan program? And I said, well, part of it is a loan, but part of it is a grant, and a lot of that could be forgivable, which means you don't even have to give it back. Pay it back, so it becomes a grant. So let's talk about those a little bit. We'll tell you some of the changes that are going on. We've got some additional content we want to add to this. Marianne Tolsidas, who is one of our senior management team out in Las Vegas, also shared some of this content with us as well. And this comes directly from the SBA, okay? So just to kind of give you an idea, the SBA disaster loan, you do apply for this particular loan on the SBA website. Now, in this, there is the economic, or the EIDL program, Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And in this, where they can advance up to $10,000, and this is a grant, and it's forgivable, and that means you don't have to pay it back, okay? And then, and so that's what that program is. Now, on top of that, there is something called the SBA Guaranteed Loans, which is a program that you have to apply with a specific bank, okay, or a lender. So you have to go to lender websites, and I'm going to put some banks that are on here that are offering these programs, and they have something called the Paycheck Protection Program, and it's forgivable either in whole or in part. And there's some rules about how much is forgivable and what's forgivable for what purposes. But basically, it's to maintain all your existing workforce, your employees, your staff, and to help pay for other expenses like rent, mortgage, interest, and utilities, okay? So those are the 2 or 3 different types of programs, if you would. Really, it's 2, but part of one of them, obviously, the EIDL has the loan forgiveness program. Now, just to give you an idea, you can borrow both. You can have one and the other. It's not or. A lot of people actually thought it was one or the other, but it's actually both. And I'm telling you guys, it doesn't cost you any money to apply for both, right? Why not do it? You know, I went through the application process myself, not so much because I needed the loan. I want the money because I don't want to withdraw that money out of the system and take it away from someone who really needs it, you know, and because you know, unfortunately for me, I don't need it. And so I didn't go and get that money. But I wanted to go through the application process to see how it works. And so I did go through the process, and it's not that bad. It's a pretty simple process, and you know, you can apply for both, okay? Now, here it says that you cannot use both for the same purpose though. One has to be for one purpose and one has to be for something else. Okay, now the PPP loan must be used for payroll for its eligible, minimum of 75% for the funds received for it to be eligible for a forgiven loan, and the remaining 25 is used for different purposes. Now, I also know that many of you texted an email and said that the money is gone, right? Or you read something, or you went on Fox News or something and saw that you know, the money's been exhausted. And there's truth to that. However, more money has been put into these programs, and so more money is available. And they opened this up earlier this week. I believe it was Monday or Tuesday. I think it was Monday. They opened it up. There were some glitches in the system because so many people are applying for this that, you know, it kind of broke down, and so they couldn't even really get everyone in. So I think they fixed all the different errors, and it went back up again on Tuesday night is when it went back up again. And so again, I just want to encourage everybody to apply for these things, right? So use the PPP to pay for 8 weeks of payroll or employee retention. And those of you that are independent contractors, you know, you can apply for this as well. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, you know, be an employee of your company, although you should do that for good tax practices, but which is a whole nother story, but I just want you guys to understand that. I'm going to skip a little bit of this stuff, and there is also something called the bridge loan that's also available, the SBA Express Bridge Loan. And this particular program is a program that you can also apply with your lender, yes, your SBA preferred lender. It can only can be made by SBA Express lenders with a valid SBA form. It's called Form 2424. So again, this is different than the other 2 programs that we just talked about. Then we have the small business debt relief that's also available. And there's billions of dollars in this program to help offset a lot of your expenses. Now, I also want you to understand that a lot of these programs are available. The fees are, in some cases, there's no fees. In some cases, they're depending on the person who's taking the application and processing for you. There could be a small fee, but it's so nominal that it's insignificant, in my opinion, for you to get into it, okay? Again, with this PPP program, the maximum you can get on these plans, again, are $10 million. The interest rate at, you know, of 1%, the maturity of 2 years, first payment is deferred for 6 months, and even up to 12 months in some cases, and it's 100% guaranteed by the SBA, okay? So they're just, you know, no collateral, no personal guarantees, no borrower, lender fees, et cetera, okay? So what I want you to do is take a picture of this right now, take your camera out, take whatever else you've got, and go ahead and stick it on there. So you know, so when you're talking to somebody, you know the difference between all these different programs, okay? Who can apply? Again, we told you eligible businesses, if you're a small business, veterans organizations, tribals, nonprofit organizations, sole proprietorships, self-employed, independent contractors, all of you can apply for this. And most of you, I'm assuming, that's listening to me on this webinar right now, for you, this is, you know, hey, you're all independent contractors. So again, you can apply for this, And you know, if you really need it, that is, you know what I mean? Don't just apply for it and take money out of the system. You know, I know these big major corporations, and I read something that the LA Lakers received a check, and certain other major companies received some of these government monies, and they actually gave it back and didn't take the money out of the system. So kudos to them. Expenses that are not included in the payroll costs, salary, wages, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't want to take too much time to get into all this. I'm just going to let you guys take a quick picture of this right here, because I don't want to read it verbatim to you. You guys can read it on your own. But I just want to give you guys some of the latest updates on this. Again, go ahead and take a quick picture of this. Forgiven will be reduced if you know, you will owe money if you do not maintain your staff and payroll. So again, you know, the government is just trying to minimize the number of people that are being laid off. And I know that, you know, even myself, we have not laid off anybody, and we are continuing our business the way we have been. And, you know, we want to keep everyone working, okay? So how to request the loan forgiveness. So this is something new that, that was really not out there, you know, somewhere written out. So now the SBA has put this out there for you, that you must submit a request to the lender that is servicing the loan. And so it doesn't happen automatically. You have to request it, and there's some information that you got to provide for them. And so you have to request the loan forgiveness, okay? So I don't want you guys to think it's just automatic and assume that you're going to be forgiven. So make sure you're proactive again to get that loan forgiveness, okay? Now this is something new as well. These are the lender lists that are available. So again, I want you to take a picture of this. So maybe you're already banking with one of these institutions, and so you can go to these banks over here. And you can also go to these banks over here, take your camera, take a picture of these, and call them up, you know, get on their website and start applying for these different programs, okay? Some of the frequently asked questions: does a business have to be at least 51% owned by the U.S. citizens or lawful permanent resident? The answer is no, okay? And then you could read the difference. Again, just take your camera and take a picture of this. Is a business eligible if it uses a third-party payroll company or a professional employer organization to process payroll and report payroll taxes? And the answer is absolutely yes. Okay, and then you can read all the little fine print right there. Is the PPP first come, first serve? And the answer is what? Yes, okay? So again, I want you guys to understand, don't wait till the second, you know, of funding for this program is out, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, now this money is run out. Well, if you're proactive and you get on the website and start applying for this, then yeah, I mean, you know, you're gonna probably get a little piece of the pie, all right? When will I have to begin paying payroll, paying principal and interest on my PPP loan? Basically, you have up to 6 months, as we said earlier. And again, this is a question that everybody's asking is, how, you know, do I have to start paying day one? And the answer is no, okay? So the bottom line is this: everyone should apply, again, because there's no cost to apply. You have no obligation to even accept it, even when it's approved, okay? You can just turn around and deny it, okay? 1-year deferment for payment in some of these programs. The EIDL can go up to 1 year of deferment, okay? So again, everyone should apply if you need the money, okay? If you need the money. If you don't need the money, then don't worry about it, right? So, you know, as Grant Cardone says, who's got my money, right? But don't take money away from people who really need it, all right? Next, who is ineligible to apply? We've got some more information on this that the SBA has finally posted. And this is, you know, whoops, what's happening here? Businesses with more than 1/3 of annual gross income is gambling, casinos, racetracks, there we go. Charitable organizations, private nonprofit organizations are eligible. So, you know, don't worry about that. Investment of lending companies, these are also ineligible to apply. This is a little more information on the advance for loan forgiveness. And so there's some more information on this here as well. It's a little redundant, but just wanted you guys to see that. All right, so just want to know, it's a little confusing because you got the EIDL and you got the PPP program, so it's a little bit of both, okay? So I just want to give you guys some updates on this. And then the 3-step disaster loan program. So here's how it works. You got the loan processing decision. And then after that, here we go. It's a little slow here. The second thing, the loan closes and 3 funds, and then number 3, the funds are dispersed, okay? So it's pretty quick, you know, just so you guys know, a case manager is assigned to you who's gonna walk you through the whole program, and boom, you're there. It should not take a long time. You know, a lot of people are saying, hey, by the time I get this money, you know, I should have my business back up and running, or it's gonna be too late, you know, for me because I needed this money now. They're actually dispersing the funds on a pretty quick basis, okay? And I know a lot of you have already texted me and said, I got my money, you know, I got this dollar amount, I just saw the money come into my account, which is pretty cool. I'm glad that you guys got the money, okay? Now, here is something that's going on. You know, it's so sad, you know, in a time of crisis that you've got these, what do I want to call them? These bastards that, you know, that, are scamming people, there's fraud, et cetera, et cetera. So some things here I want you to really look out for your own protection, right? The SBA wants you to know that the SBA does not initiate contact regarding disaster loans. So if you're proactively contacted by someone claiming to say that they're from the SBA, that right there should be fraud, okay? Just so you know, because they just don't have the resources to contact you directly, okay? The SBA does not provide grants to small businesses. So the SBA providers guarantees the lenders to encourage them to make loans to small businesses. If you were contacted via social media about an SBA grant program for small businesses, then you know it's probably going to be fraud, okay? I actually received some emails about this, and I got one of those fake text messages myself already. So this is very real right now. If you are contacted by someone promising to get approval of an SBA loan, but requires payment up front or offers a high interest bridge loan in the interim, just know that is not the SBA, and that is also fraud, okay? So just wanted to share that with you guys right there. So the question is, everyone has a chance, okay? Everyone has a chance. The question is, who's gonna take it, right? I mean, it's the same thing when it comes to money, right? When the opportunity knocks, right, make sure that the door isn't locked, okay? And what I mean by that is that door, okay, when I say the door isn't locked, what I'm referring to is your mind, right? So, you know, make sure that your mind isn't closed, right? A lot of people, it's amazing when the opportunity is there and the opportunity is knocking, you don't jump on it, you don't seize it, okay? When the door opens, right, make sure that the door isn't locked, open the door, don't have someone else open the door, you open the door, right? You know, one of the greatest stories I ever heard, and I don't remember if it was my pastor or my father told me about this, but it was the story of the farmer. And basically, this farmer and their village was getting flooded, right? And the water level was coming up. And as the water level was going up, one of the guys living in his house, you know, he everybody was pretty much evacuating, and one of his neighbors came by in a canoe. And he said, hey, jump in my canoe. We got to get out of here because our village is getting flooded. And this guy basically told the person in the canoe, go away. He said, it's okay. He goes, I know God's going to save me, right? And the water level continued to go up. The guy in the canoe went away. And now this guy is up on the 2nd floor of his house. And he's sitting there, and the next thing you know, a jet boat comes along and says, get in the jet boat, right? This village is getting flooded. If you stay here, you're going to die. And the guy said, hey, he goes, why don't you leave? He goes, because I know that God's going to save me. And the jet boat went away. And then shortly after that, now the water level continued to go up. He's now up on the roof. And all of a sudden, he looks up, and a helicopter comes down. And this helicopter throws down a ladder and says, hey, grab onto this ladder. He goes, if you stay there, you're going to die. Well, guess what? He stayed there, and the village got flooded, and the guy died, and he went to heaven. And he gets up into heaven, and the big grand doors open up, and you know, the big white light shines in, and God comes out, and he says, what are you doing here? And the guy looks up to God, and he says, God, he goes, I don't understand. He goes, why didn't you save me? And God looked down at him and said, look, man, he goes, I sent you a canoe, I sent you a jet boat, and I sent you a helicopter. Why didn't you just take one of those? And he just, obviously. So the moral of the story is, man, when the opportunity is there, get it, right? Like, don't think it's like, hey, this isn't for me. Why should I do this, et cetera, et cetera. So jump on the opportunity, because you never know what's going to happen when that door opens up for you. So one of my favorite slides, and I'm going to share it with you again, just for those of you that are joining us for the first time, is this. If you don't come out of this quarantine, right, the self-confinement with a new skill, with some new knowledge, a new side hustle or business, folks, I want you to understand, it's not that you never lacked time, but you lacked discipline, right? Whenever I tell somebody, you got to start your own business, you got to have another stream of income, you got to get out there and look at, ways that you can generate money and not rely on your boss or your employer to be the person that's going to pay you all the time, because you never know. And this is a perfect time to understand and acknowledge the fact that jobs are not secure. There's no guarantees. Look at all the people that are getting laid off right now, people who are getting furloughed, people that have no income. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, crap hits the fan, and suddenly like, oh my God, I coulda, shoulda, woulda. Maybe I should have started that business. Maybe I should have started that side hustle. But I want you to know that right now is the time for you to start thinking about another stream of income. Like, I'm sitting here in my house and I'm doing a lot of stuff, but it's like I had to get my mind off of just business. So I decided I wanted to do a little new skill. What is a new skill? So I actually went online, because one thing I always wanted to know is, a little bit about woodwork, right? Like framing. And so I actually went online and I bought myself this massive, like, wood cutting DeWalt machine, cutters and table saws and all that kind of stuff. And now I'm actually building like my own shed, right? So just to take my mind a little bit off it. So I'm learning a new skill, right? And people say, well, why would you want to do something like that? Why don't you just hire somebody? I'm like, I can't hire anybody, right? And I want to know how to do those kind of things. I always want to know, how do you do moldings on your house, right? So just something new. You got to do something, learn a new side hustle. So for you, I would say, maybe right now is a great opportunity for you to start saying, hey, I got to start a business. And I say, it's, one of the things when I ever tell people, hey, you got to start another business. You got to start another business. Okay. John, I got no time. Right now I have no time. So all of a sudden they say they have no time. Well, right now you got all the time in the world, right? I mean, you're sitting in your house. So it's not like you lack time, right? You lack discipline. So I want you to understand, I'm not trying to be offensive, so don't feel like I'm being offensive right now. I'm trying to get you to understand the reality is that you really should start a business, right? So most people, just so you know, don't understand money. They don't understand their cash flow, right? Some people don't even have budgets. They don't understand where all their money is going. I mean, I people who make $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, or even $50,000 or $30,000, they go, where's all my money going? They don't even have a spreadsheet itemizing how much money is going where, right? And what's happening is that most people don't even have limits, right? So whenever you have, let's say, a budget, right? Even do you understand that major corporations, multi-billion-dollar companies have budgets, right? So even though they're worth $500 billion, they'll still say we're only spending this much on advertising, this much on salary, this much on benefits, this much on whatever, right? New products and development, right? Research and development, R&D. So I want you to know that you should have a budget, right? I mean, just because you make this amount of money doesn't mean that you should go and blow all that money on stuff, and start to create a budget. And what better time than right now for you and your husband, wife, children, your significant other, domestic partner, sitting out and start itemizing everything and start putting down a budget, okay? Now, along that, what I want you to do is understand the 6 steps to financial security, okay? And then for those of you that have joined me in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 or 5, oh God, has it been already 5 or 6 weeks? Has it been? Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, the last 5 or 6, 7, 8 weeks, you should memorize this by now, right? In fact, I'm going to test you guys. I want you to put your head down, not look at this, and write it down and see if you even remember, right? But one of the things you got to start doing is increasing your cash flow, right? So things you could do is reducing your expenses, increasing your income, so cash flow. Number 2 is managing your debt. Okay, let's get you out of debt, right? Debt is going to kill you, and you can't ignore debt. You don't ignore debt, and debt all of a sudden disappears, okay? You have to attack the debt. It is cancer, right? It will literally paralyze you. You understand that? It will just cut you off at your knees, okay? So you got to get debt out of your situation. So if you're in debt, give me a call, right? Talk to the person who invited you this morning and say, hey man, I'm in debt. And listen, if you're in debt, whether it's student loans, credit cards, or whatever other kind of private loans, don't feel like you should be embarrassed, okay? Don't be embarrassed, because a lot of you are like, I'm so embarrassed. I've got like $50,000 in credit card debt, $100,000 in credit card debt. Hey, listen, we know you're not the only one, okay? And I don't mean to say that, hey, you're like the only one and trying to be insensitive to that, but there's a lot of people in your situation, right? And we're all in this situation right now because we never really understood money, right? We never learned about money and how money works, and understanding how to deal with our finances. It's not something that, you know, even maybe our parents, it's not because our parents didn't love us, it's just that they never knew either, right? And maybe your grandparents, maybe it's your pastor, maybe, I don't know, whoever, your teachers at school, they never really understood this. And that's part of my issue with our school system right now, is our school system, and that's a whole nother topic, right, is what we're teaching our children. But the bottom line is, let's get you out of debt. Talk to the person who invited you. Say, hey, listen, I'm not, I don't want to say, because John said I shouldn't feel embarrassed. So I'm not embarrassed, but I would like some help, right? And by the way, asking for help is not a bad thing, okay? Just ask for help. Everyone wants to help. I mean, you see people on the side of the road, right? You want to pull over and help out, right? You see somebody, having tough times at the grocery store, or, stuff they're putting in their car. You want to help out. You hear someone screaming. You want to help out, right? I mean, I think that we as people inherently have a desire to help people, okay? So ask for help. It's okay. We're here to serve, okay? Number 3, have an emergency fund. Well, now better is a good time is a good indicator to let you know that you got to start creating that emergency fund, okay? Now, I know that David Ramsey and Susie Orman, a lot of these different people are saying, talking about how much money you should have in emergency funds. And a lot of people, like Dave Ramsey, I think, said it was 3 months. And, Susie Orman said also like 4 months. I think those are a good start, but I'm going to tell you guys honestly, in my opinion, you should probably have 1 year's worth of emergency money, okay? And for me, when I talk about emergency money, I want to also include not just emergency money, but money to cover all my expenses for 1 year, okay? So I want to take all my expenses, and so if my monthly expenses are like $5 grand, I want to have like $60,000 where I can access that $60,000. Now, I'm not talking about 401k money, okay, because that's not an emergency fund, okay? And so that's what I want you to do. Start saving that money now, okay? Number 4 is proper protection, making sure that you've got all the right types of insurance policies in place. Number 5 is to create a long-term savings account. That is your retirement, your children's college fund, a wedding, to buy a house, things like that, okay? Number 6 is to preserve your assets and make sure that, God forbid, if you were to die, and you never know, that everything you've done is all in place so that your children will receive that money, avoid probate, not have to go through all the court process, a lot of expenses, headache, attorney's fees, just to figure out if that money is ever going to come back to you. And let me just tell you something. I'm going to say the word probate again. If you don't know what probate is, what I want you to do is I want you to go on Google right after this and go and research what probate is and what that means, okay? It is one of the worst things that anybody can go through, okay? And so now that I brought it up, now that I've informed you about it, okay, you've got to take some responsibility and go and understand what probate is, okay? So you can't go, oh, I never knew. Like, no one ever told me about probate. If I had only known, okay? Well, now you know, right, what it is, but you're going to have to go and do some research, and then you got to go create some trust, okay, some living trust, so that you can avoid probate, okay? Then you consult with a lawyer, go to LegalZoom or whatever, or talk to the person who invited you on this call and said, hey, John said that I need to get a living trust, okay? Now listen, huge myth. A lot of people think that a living trust is for people that are rich, that you got to be financially independent, you got to be a multimillionaire to have a living trust. And that is a myth. That is absolutely a false statement of fact. And I want you to make sure that every single person that is in the sound of my voice right now, you need to get a living trust, okay? And they're, you know, I think, you know, today they're fairly inexpensive, okay? So these are the 6 steps to financial security. Be proactive, learn about money and how money works, right? Don't be there like, oh, I don't know anything about money, and you're just gonna wing it. I have not heard of anybody winging it to becoming financially independent, okay? You have to be very responsible, and you gotta be a great student of learning how money works, okay? So let me talk to you real quickly about something called indexed annuities. These are great products, in my opinion. I think everybody needs them. But I want to go over a couple things here. One is we've had some, what it is, and I'm not gonna get into annuity trading today, but what great benefits were, these are the different carriers up here on the top. You got Global Atlantic, Nationwide, North American, Athene, and Athene's got a couple products. But you'll notice that I changed this one right here. 2 weeks ago, this was at 20%. So much money has come into this product that Athene says, hey, we don't even really need to offer 20%. We'll do it at 10% now. So this number has now gone down to 10%. And Nationwide has received so much business that they now even discontinued, because now they offered a program, and here's how it works, right? If you're hearing this for the first time, we'll take an example. The minimum investment is 10,000, but we'll take an example of 100 grand. If you put in $100,000, Athene with this product will give you 20% upfront. So imagine now, if your portfolio is like down 20%, here's a way to redeem part of that market loss, is getting 20% upfront. And then it ties to the S&P 500, and if the S&P 500 does 10%, you get 17.5. Now some people say, well, I don't like the S&P 500. Well, here's a product that has nothing to do with the S&P 500, and it gives you 10% every year for the next 10 years. So you can see there's some, oh, okay, well, you don't see my mouse moving around, I apologize. Okay, well, you can kind of see this first column. Let me see if I can get my little annotator here. Give me a second, guys. Here we go. So here it is. So here's your minimum investment right now. It's giving you 20% up front, and then it's tied to the S&P 500, giving you 175%. So that's tied to it. Now some people said, as I just said, don't want the S&P 500, where they want something that's guaranteed. Here's a product that's guaranteed. And is that really 15 minutes? Okay, I was just told I got 15 minutes left, so I gotta move fast here, guys. So again, but they're giving you a 10% bonus, okay? Again, some of these products are all gonna disappear. Nationwide doesn't even offer this product anymore. You can see it's gone, okay? Global Atlantic, still available right now. So these are great products for people who need to start, looking at some different investment and financial instruments, okay? So listen, folks, I want you to know that there are 4 major tax problems in the United States right now. The first one is this: you earn it, like you go and make money, here's the problem: the government begins to tax you. You spend it, the government goes and taxes you. You save it, and then guess what? The government goes and taxes you. And then and here's the thing is that, God forbid, when you die, guess what they do? They come and they tax you again, right? So it's like a never-ending thing. It's like tax, 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 tax. And what I didn't even include in here, is your property tax, right? And so there's so many ways that the government taxes you, and it's like, your phone bill. Just think about your phone. It's like tax. If you look at California's gas per gallon, you'd be surprised that I think it's almost 50% of the what do you call it? The car gasoline. 50% of it is tax, right? I mean, there's other states in the Midwest right now where their gas is like just over $1, right? And so here you are, you're still paying $3 for a gallon of gas. And so I just want you guys to understand that the government, what they want to do is just take the money that you work so hard for. So you got to look at some different ways to minimize taxes. One of the great animations of this cartoon kind of character is this guy who's actually fishing, and you know, this picture speaks for itself, right? And you see the government taking what you went and got for. It's a great thing. I mean, I absolutely love this picture. All right, so here's the thing, folks, and you've heard me say this before. If you are born poor, it's not your fault, right? But if you die poor, it is your fault, man. So look, it's because you didn't do anything. And so you again, earlier I told you in that slide, right? In a times like right now, quarantine, learn a new skill, right? Start a new business, do something, right? Get some knowledge. And right now is a better time, no better time than now to go out there and get those skills and learn something and start a business. So here's the thing. Listen, I understand. If you didn't come from a rich family, then have a rich family come from you, okay? Boom. I mean, don't you just love that? I love that, right? If you didn't come from a rich family, then have a rich family come from you, all right? So here's this. What I want you to understand is don't limit your challenges, right? You know, I want you to go out there and challenge yourself. Challenge your limits right now, all right? And I want you to know that, you know, maybe you're like, I don't know anything about money and finance. It's okay, right? Go challenge your limits, right? And so I want you to be proactive, and I want you to get with the person who invited you this morning. And I appreciate you guys listening to me and say, you know what, John's right. I do have to become more astute about money and finances. I can't play the ignorant card anymore. And so I want to know more, and how can I learn more? Well, one way is that, you know, I want to say kudos to you for waking up this Saturday morning where you could have just snuggled up next to your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, domestic partner, sitting at home in your warm bed under your warm blanket, and you woke up to listen to what this is all about. And I appreciate you and respect you for jumping on this morning on this webinar, right? Now, in Napoleon Hill's book called Think and Grow Rich, he illustrates how to turn desires into gold. So if you haven't picked up this book or never heard of this book, I want to really encourage you to read this book. It's a life changer. You know, my wife and I, her name is Arlene. Arlene and I read this book in 1996, okay? So 1996, we read this book, and this was our mentor, right? Napoleon Hill mentored us vicariously through his book. And I want you to know that he says one of the things that you got to do is how to turn desires into gold is that you can't hit a target if you never set one, right? Like, how you know what you're going to hit if you don't even have something to hit, okay? So what is it that you want to hit in terms of a financial goal, right? Like how much money do you want to have in savings, right? By the end of the year, you know, what's your retirement goal? Do you even know what that number is? And if you don't know what that number is, get with the person who invited you, right? Give me a call. I mean, I'd love to chat with you and talk to you about what is that number? What is your number, right? And I don't mean like, what's your phone number? What is your retirement number? What is that number you got to get to so that you can retire and enjoy your golden years, right? During, you know, your golden years when you retire, rather than becoming a senior at the Golden Arches, okay? So here's the thing. What I want you to start thinking about is wealth, right? Money, and there's a lot of different things about wealth and richness. I mean, you can be rich in all different areas of your life, right? Spiritual wealth, right? Your health wealth, physical wealth, right? But today, this morning, or now this afternoon, you know, wealth, what I'm referring to is money, it's finance, okay? And what I want you to do is understand, I shared this with some people a couple of weeks ago on how to create wealth. Everything comes down to your mindset, right? Write down what you guys want, okay? Envision your future. Affirm your desire. Listen to your inner voice. Take action and transform, okay? And hold the vision, okay? So I want you guys to know that everything right here starts with what's going on up here in your 6 inches, right? This right here is the most powerful thing. In the event, like right now, we're going through the coronavirus and you're saying to yourself, oh my God, what do I do? It's a pandemic, and you start freaking out. It's the apocalypse. It's the end of the world. You're living in a world of scarcity right now. again, this is where we got to change the way you think right now, right? Let's talk about lotto winners. Think about how many people won the actual lotto, right? And won millions of dollars, and how these people go broke. So I want you to know that when you're looking at this, this is very, very powerful because, again, you know, as we're talking about this, see, here it says a rich person plus a broke mind. So again, the mind is weak, they go broke, right? But here it says a broke person with a broke mindset stays broke, right? They're always going to be broke. They don't even know what to do with the money, right? And then, am I missing something? Oh, I have no idea what's going on. Why is it doing that? Oh, really? Oh, all right. Well, the next one here, rich person plus rich mindset. Again, yeah, that's really weird why it's doing that, huh? Will be rich, and a person who's broke, a broke person plus a rich mindset becomes rich, right? So again, if you look at all four different examples, I know you guys are telling me it's off-centered or whatever. I don't know what's going on with my computer, but anyway, and everybody's laughing over here on my staff, and I'm wondering what the hell they're looking at. For a moment, they're all laughing here, and I thought for a second I had a booger hanging out of my nose, you know, and Raul over here is going like this. I had no idea, so I was about to pick my nose and see if I had a booger hanging out of my nostril, but it's not. Okay, so let me just tell you something. So everything boils down to what? Your mindset, okay? The way you think, right? And the thing is, you're all smart. What's going on here? My battery's dying here now. Something going on with my battery? So I'm down to 12%. You know what that means? Is that not working? All right. So if I do lose you guys for some reason because my computer's dying, I'm not sure what's happening here. Having some technical difficulties this morning. But what I wanted to illustrate there was basically the way your mind is, okay? So that's that. Now, look, listen, I can help ignorant people, but I can't help stupid people, right? I mean, stupid people, I mean, you know, and I have a good friend of mine named Kaya Redford, and he always says, John, don't say stupid people. And I'm like, well, why not, man? There are stupid people out there. And he's like, well, you know, from a spiritual level, you know, we're all created in God's image. And I'm like, okay, I get it, you know, but, you know, I mean, but there are stupid people, man. I mean, and stupid people are like glow sticks. You ever know what I mean by glow sticks? Have you guys ever seen these people with glow sticks? Okay, now I'm down to 10%, Raul. What's going on with my battery here? Huh? Okay, well, I'm at 10%. His computer's going to shut off, man. And so next thing I know, everybody's not going to be able to see a PowerPoint. All right, here we go. So stupid people are like glow sticks, right? And so some of these stupid people, because I can't help them, I want to snap them and shake the shit out of them until the light comes on, right? So it's like, come on, folks. I mean, it's like, you got to save money. You got to start a business, right? You got to go out there and start, you know, wanting to help people and doing the right thing on a daily basis. I mean, there's all the right things that you're supposed to be doing, right? Wearing a mask when you guys go out. I mean, my goodness, right? So look, I know there's haters out there and people who are going to rain on your parade. All these stupid people are going to tell you you can't do it, that this isn't for you, that you should, you know, stick to what you know and all that kind of stuff. And these are the haters. And let me just tell you what I know about haters. Let me just tell you what haters is an acronym, right? I should have a period in between each one of these little letters here because that's what it means. Haters stands for this, right? Having, okay, angered towards everyone reaching success. You ever notice that, right? So I know there's a lot of haters out there, and look, I'm not doing the things I do to go and appease the haters. I want to go and help the people that need my help, right? So I want you to know that, you know, right now, some of you guys are saying, man, you know what? People are quitting on me. You know, they won't even return my phone calls. They've joined the witness protection program. Hey, look, listen, you know, this is what I got to say to you, okay? Loyalty is expensive, okay? Don't expect it from cheap people, all right? So, hey, you know what? I look at those people that aren't loyal and they're not there for you. They're not real friends. It's a filter, right? Isn't it great that you found out now who your real friends are, right? Rather than, you know, spending your whole life with them and finding out that they really weren't your best friend and not really had your best interest all this time. So don't expect it from cheap people, man, all right? And So here's the thing, folks, right? There are no hopeless situations, only people who think hopelessly. So as you look here, you can see this guy on the left-hand side. He's sitting in the trench right now, and he's like, okay, this is it. I'm going to die here. This is the end of the world. There's nothing I can do. You don't give up. You don't surrender. You don't let people hijack your life, okay, and hijack your dreams. Look at this guy over here to the right where, man, everything is on the line, right? I mean, he is digging with his fingers, right? Crawling out of this ditch, which is what you all need to do right now, is that wherever you are right now, right? If you're in an emotional ditch, if you're in a financial ditch, you're whatever it is, right? You're in a relationship ditch. Get yourself out of that situation. You can do this, right? They say that one of the ingredients of a world-class person is someone who is a comeback artist, right? A comeback artist. Sometimes I want you to understand that some of these setbacks that you're experiencing right now is to prepare you for a comeback, right? A setback is to prepare you for a comeback, right? And so I want you to become a comeback artist right now, right? Man, I want you to pick yourself up off the ground today, and I want you to go and seize this opportunity, right? This God-given opportunity for you. And I said earlier today, right? If you don't come out of this quarantine with a new skill, a new knowledge, a new hustle, a new side hustle or business, right? It's you, man. It's like you lack discipline. So I want to inject a massive dose of discipline into you today, this morning, this afternoon, and I want you to go after it and seize this great life that you're living today, right? So let me give you an example of some business opportunities for you. If you're interested in making more money, because right now we can use some extra help, right? Because we're getting bombarded by people who are getting laid off, and they have these old 401k plans, and some even have like multiple 401k plans where they had like 2, 3, 4 jobs where they had 401k plans at these other companies, and they still left them there. Now we can actually bundle them all together and put it into one company and actually invest all that money for them. So, excuse me, we told you what the benefits of some of these products are earlier, but I want you to know that if you did a $100,000 excuse me, a rollover, our commission on these are about 5%, so we make about $5,000. You make on average about 50%, you make $2,500 bucks, right? You do, let's say 4 of these, 1 a week, folks, you're making an extra $10,000 a month, and some people may not have a substantial amount of cash laying around, and they want to just do monthly. Well, we can do that as well. If somebody says, man, I want to just do $500 a month right now in savings, I got some money and I've got savings and I'm reducing my expenses, then guess what? If somebody wants to start doing $500 a month at $6,000 a year, your compensation is 50%. You make $3,000. You see 4 clients a month, 1 a week. You're making an extra $12,000, right? Even if you just saw 1 client, right, at $3,000 a month, I mean, most of you guys would be better off with that. Okay, so there's so many different opportunities. This is just another example of that. But I want you to just talk to the person who invited you and make sure that you find out more about this, because I think this could be another new side hustle for you, okay? I went real fast because I wanted to just keep this to an hour this morning so we can get you to spend some time, go get some brunch with your family, make some corned beef and hash or eggs or whatever it is, and enjoy the afternoon. But I want you guys to know I want to wish a happy birthday to our good friend, Mr. Akira. His birthday is today, so happy birthday to Akira. I also want to wish happy birthday to one of our senior managers, Jolly Francisco, who is just an amazing lady, and I want to wish her a happy birthday that's coming up here on Monday. And I also just want to wish everyone, all you May birthdays, happy birthday to all of you. I may not have every single one of your birthdays, but I know there's a lot more birthdays here in the month of May. But we just want to wish you a happy birthday. We're so sorry you got to spend it during a time of quarantine. But I'm sure, hey, think of this cake on behalf of our family and friends here at our company. And just want to remind you guys, next week on Tuesday, okay, Saturday, next week on Tuesday, I've got a very special guest speaker. Her name is Penny Oy. And so I want you guys to tune in and listen to her. This will be Tuesday night, 7:30 Pacific time next week, Cinco de Mayo, right? Well, where are you going to go, right? Just dial into our, you go get your tequila, get your margarita, and get in front of your computer and listen to us on Tuesday night, Cinco de Mayo. Special guest speaker, Penny Oy. This lady right here, amazing lady. I think she's now just making a little over $5 million a year. Not too shabby for a girl who immigrated to this country from Malaysia. And so she will be tuning in with us next week and what she's doing right now with her business and what she's doing with her family. So that's coming on Tuesday. And then again on May 9th, tune in at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And again, I just want you to go, there's some registration on the very bottom over here. You'll see it in yellow. Again, it's really small, so I apologize for that. But take a picture, blow it up on your camera, and then look at it, go and register. We do have limited, seats or whatever, but we are working on doing some, we're working with YouTube to actually have carryover to a YouTube channel as well. So again, May 9th, same thing, register right here at bit.ly/Shintastic Saturday. I hope you guys this morning that I kind of made you feel uncomfortable, kind of got in your face a little bit, making you feel like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? And I hope, you guys enjoyed this program. You guys are absolutely amazing. Again, this afternoon, don't forget, join me today, this afternoon, to hear me speak. 3 o'clock, but you can also hear Penny Oy starting at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Again, please email Anna and/or Rose at tgrmastermind.com, and we'll send you a link that you can actually tune in this afternoon, okay? Folks, listen, this is how you can get a hold of me. These are my Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel now. You can go to howrichasiansthink.com and get a copy of my book and my movie and about Think and Grow Rich. You guys are awesome. Thanks for joining us this morning. God bless every single one of you. Take care and be safe.